Ready-made Maths YouTube mathematics training. Teacher and teaching assistant training, master it in EYFS. Today is day 4 and we're going to have a number party. What we're going to do today is explore how one number can be viewed in many different ways, so we can give children in early years a real mastery of numbers up to 10. This quote is one that I've used many times over the past 10 years or so. I actually got this quote from a special needs consultant I used to work with in Blackburn with Darwin many years ago. She used to say that special needs children often sit there in a mathematics lesson thinking to themselves, I can't learn this way. I don't get it. I don't understand. What they're also thinking to themselves is, if I can't learn the way you teach, could you please teach the way that I learn? Now, although that was applied to special needs pupils at the time, I immediately looked at that quote and thought that applies to many children at different levels of ability in mathematics. They can learn, and they can learn very effectively, but they can't learn the way that's being taught at the moment. If the way was changed, then hopefully the children could learn in a much easier manner. So can we teach the way that they learn? The way to do that in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 often is to find a completely different approach to visualising or showing the mathematics and the mathematical understanding. So the children aren't just being taught methods, they're being taught understanding behind it. At early years, I think the way that should be applied is how many ways can we show them number? So if they've got lots of ways to hook into the number, they've got far more chance of understanding.
Welcome back to part 3 of this week's early years training. I know it's been a little bit difficult trying to do everything from within such a small area, but I hope you found the first 2 parts of this session useful. Part 1, we looked at arrangement style and how we can arrange numbers in different ways. In particular, the idea of 5 style and tens frame style, where you see the numbers in 5 and a bit. The second part of the session, we looked at tens frames in particular and how we can really use tens frames in lots and lots of different models and images to create fun activities for children in the early years. What we're going to do in this session is look at a particular number, and it could be any number that you want to choose. I've chosen a specific number, as I hope you can see here. What number am I looking at? So you can see the same number there that's been arranged in 4 different ways. We can see the number 6 as a 5 and a 1, as a double 3, as a 3, 2, 1, and as a 2 plus 2 plus 2. We're going to take that idea, and as you can see on the board here, we're going to look at how to master numbers up to 10. We've looked at arrangements, we've looked at a range of resources and images, we've also looked at tens frames this week, so let's put those 3 things together and let's master the number 6 and also the number 8 we're going to look at shortly in lots of different ways. I'm really excited about what I'm about to show you today. This is a focus on one particular number today, and this is really what early years practice could really be all about. Taking one number and exploring it in all its different elements. I know in the previous couple of sessions we've looked at arrangement style and taking various numbers and arranging them in different ways. What we've also done is we've looked at the tens frame very specifically as an image. Very powerful image that is used all over the world as a way of exploring and really consolidating arrangements of images in a way that's really easy for the children to see. But before that, what children need to experience in EYFS is that facility of looking at numbers in so many different ways. So what we're going to do today is take a focus on a particular number and look at how it can be arranged, how it can be visualized, how it can be seen, and how it can be explored. So this could take up to a week, 2 weeks of just taking one number and really going to town on it, so that the children have got this real holistic view of what a number is all about. Rather than just the numeral 6, this is what 6 really is. So what I hope you'll be able to see today, rather than it being an activity as such, like I've done in the previous training videos, what we're going to do is just look at I'm going to call it number party. We're going to look at a number party. We're having a party for the number 6. We're having a whole week where we're going to explore number 6 and we're going to find out everything we possibly can about it. We're going to have stories about 6. We're going to explore images of 6. We're going to see 6 in lots and lots of different ways. And therefore, by the end of this week or by the end of this fortnight of really looking at number 6, we've got so many pictures and so much understanding of what 6 is all about. So what we're going to imagine is that we've been focusing for the whole week on looking and developing images of the number 6. What I've kind of now created is almost the end of the number party, where the children have been spending the week getting number 6 and seeing number 6 and finding number 6. And what we've done over the course of the week is kind of create lots of images and pictures of 6 that the children have been developing. This could also be done as a number 6 book. I know that in numbers and patterns, many years ago, that was one of the activities that was heavily recommended by early years specialists, that basically children create a number book for each different number. And I know many schools that used to have big A1 books that were created with the numeral 6 and loads of pictures and photos and things that were stuck on and things that the children have found. And so by the end of the week, the class had created a kind of number book for each of the numbers, and that was done over the course of a whole term. So the children got lots and lots of opportunity to look at each individual number. I've kind of done the same thing on my table. Obviously I'm limited very much to what I can present to you by what I've got available, but I've got on my table almost the end result of children working for a week and having a number 6 party. We've created kind of a tribute to number 6. What do we know about number 6? How many ways can we see it? So I'm going to basically let the camera have a look at all the different elements of the table in short little spells. I'm going to pause the camera each time, have a look at what you can see in each of the different sections, and then we'll just have a little discussion about what does this tell you about the number 6. I think before we start looking at the individual images, it's certainly worth getting a look at the whole table. Look at the different ways that we can represent a number. And that's what we really need to be getting children to see and having a play with and really experience. So I'm just panning across there so you can see lots and lots of different arrangements of 6 that have been created. What we're going to do now is we're going to focus on certain specific images, have a little look at them, you have a little chance to have a discussion, and then we'll just talk through what we can develop from looking at these different arrangements and these different images. I think it might be worth starting off by looking at the gems on the table. The red gems and the silver gems. The red ones do seem to be arranged in some sort of recognisable pattern. The silver ones, like we looked at on Monday, do seem to be rather random. But is that how they've been set out, or is that just how they've fallen? What I do like about this activity, the random arrangement, is, as we talked about earlier with the subitizing, there's actually a lot more to see within the 6 than you'd originally think. You can see the 6 ones. We know there's 6 ones within 6. But what else do you see? So just taking that idea that we looked at with the subliminal subitizing, when you look at that 6 there, how do you actually see them laid out? And again, as we mentioned earlier, what's lovely about this is some children will look at that and they will see a 2, a 2, and a 2. They'll see it in 3 2s, almost like this has been moved to there. Other children won't see that whatsoever. They might see a 2 over here, a 3 here, almost like a dice pattern, and a 1 up there. Other children might see a 5. They might just see that 5 together, again, almost like that's been moved, and they'll see the 1 separately. Other children might see this 4. They might see a 4 there and a 2 down here. Again, there's so many ways you can see that, and what starts off as looking like a random arrangement has actually got a lot more to it. As we mentioned on Monday, what we then do is we organise it by counting into something that's a lot more structured. Now, looking at the red gems, again, lovely little picture, and some children just like to arrange whatever they've been asked to, whatever they've brought into something that looks pretty. But again, what do we see? I think that one, there's almost a natural 3 plus 3 that you can see there, almost in a circular shape. But again, there's a 2 here, a 2 here, oops, and a 2 here, which can definitely be seen, or 2, 2, and 2. So there's lots and lots of different ways that each of those arrangements can be viewed. Let's have a look at the sweets. Again, we can see 6 sweets, 6 sweets, 6 sweets, and again 6 sweets. There's 4 different arrangements of 6 sweets that we can look at there. They all tell you very different things about 6. We've got the random 6 again, that starts off down here, but this definitely isn't random now when you look at it because it's colour coded or it's pattern coded. If it's colour coded, we've got a 1, a 3, and a 2. If it's in a pattern, again, it could be a 3 plus a 2 plus a 1, or it could be a 2 plus a 2 plus a 2, or any other arrangement. It could be a 5 and a 1. They're all things that we can explore from what appears to be random at the start. Talk about it with the children. Just say what you see. What do you see when you look at that? Do you just see 6 random sweets, or do you see something specific, either based on colour or based on the pattern? Moving up to the straight lines, again, we talked about line style a lot on Monday. Well, how does line style actually develop? Well, we can just have 6 things in a straight line. We can do what we've done before and turn it into 5 style, the 5 and 1, which makes it easier to recognise it as 6. Or we can arrange it slightly differently. You can see here that this child who would have created this one has gone for the yellow background, blue background, and so on. There's a very recognisable pattern there, again, which follows up with a 2 plus 2 plus 2. even within that, there's even more patterns we can look at. We've got 2 reds, 2 blues, and on this one, we've actually got, although they're both on a blue background, we've got a red sweet and a yellow sweet. So this could be 2 plus 2 plus 2, or it could be 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. Same with these here, or we're looking at the backgrounds, which is yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, or the actual sweets, blue, green, red, red, blue, red. So loads and loads of stuff we can talk about just looking at 6 individual sweets that have been rearranged just in a straight line in different ways. And what do we see when we look at the packets of sweets? Well, again, this is an interesting one because it goes way beyond EYFS in the actual overall number, but in the amount of sweets, in the amount of packets of sweets, there's just 6. We've got 2, 4, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've still got 6 packs of sweets, but we've actually got our 60 sweets altogether, which is where it develops into key stage 1. 6 packs of 10 gives us an overall total of 60. So that can be seen in 20s or in 2s, or in 1s or in 10s. And that really helps the mastery as the children develop into key stage 1. Let's take a look at 6 cakes. Let's have a number party with the cakes and let's see the different ways they can be arranged. We'll start with the stack of cakes over at the left hand side. This is an activity I've done so many times in the last 12-18 months in different foundation stage settings, using these particular cakes, just giving the cakes to the children and actually saying to them, just set them out in a pattern and let's see what you come up with. How can you arrange those cakes so they look, so that we can spot some pattern from them? And that was one that many children often come up with. In particular, there's one school I was working in Rochdale last year where one child created that image, started off with 6 cakes, and I said, just describe what you've done, describe, how you've arranged your cakes. They straight away said, well, I've got 1 chocolate cake, I've got 2 strawberry cakes, and 3 sprinkles. And then the child that was sitting next to them, was working with them, said, what you need next is 4 lemon. And straight away, they went over to the pile of cakes and they got 4 lemon. Now this isn't to do with the number 6, but it actually shows how that activity just developed just from nowhere, just from discussion. My next question was, well, what do you think comes next? To which the first child said, well, we need 5. 5 what? And then they looked at the pattern and said, 5 chocolates. And they ended up developing that activity all the way down to 1 to 10 with different cakes, following a really good pattern as well. Let's just remove those 4 yellows for the time being though, because that's a lovely little activity, and that's showing 6 as 1 plus 2 plus 3 in a very specific triangle pattern. We're now going to move over to the plates, and these again do look on the surface to be completely random, that 6 cakes have been put on the plates, just like that. I think the first one probably was the blue plate on the left hand side, but what else do you see apart from 6 ones? How do we see it? Do we see 1 plus 3 plus 2, or 1 plus 2 plus 3 like the triangle earlier, or do we see 3 lemon cakes, 2 sprinkles and 1 chocolate? It depends whether the children see the colours of the cakes or they're just seeing the arrangement they've been laid out in. Moving to the next one, I think that one is almost in a circular pattern, and you can definitely see the 3 yellow cakes next to each other, the 2 browns and the 1 sprinkles. But again, many children just might say, oh, it's 3 plus 3, or they might say it's 2 plus 2 plus 2. So again, it can be seen in lots of different ways. The third one, on the other hand, I think, looking at how it's been set out, has been arranged specifically in that way. Probably that one's fallen down a little bit, but if I move that one over there a little bit, how has that been set out? Well, it could be 3 plus 3, with 3 different types of cakes there, and 3 there. I think even more, it's probably 2 plus 2 plus 2, with specific types of cakes being laid out. Whatever resource we've got, if you've got a variety of different colours within the resource, or different patterns within the resource, you will get some phenomenal activities from children in the early years. The language, the discussion that you'll get from just asking them to describe how they've done it. And the more you develop the idea of pattern, the more the children will start to lay things out in patterns as well. So, a really, really powerful way to use that resource. Let's have a very brief look at the cups and the ladybird. The ladybird is just a resource that's already been pre-created with 6 spots. They're great to have resources like that, but it's so much better if the children can draw their own. They can draw 6 spots in any arrangement they see fit. That one has got a 3 on one side and a 3 on the other, or it can be seen again as a 2 and a 2 and a 2. But that particular resource, all of the dots are designed to be kind of almost symmetrical. Looking at the cups, I've just tried to show with this one, just 6 cups colour coded. move the colours around a little bit. We could match them, and again, often you can see 2 blues, 2 greens and 2 pinks, and here you've got stacked 2 blues, 2 greens and 2 pinks. Some children will definitely do that, and there's my 6 cups. Other children will definitely want the ones that are stacked to be behind the appropriate colours, and again we can always go from there and stack these as well. But you know, so anything like that colour coded is a lovely way of looking at the number 6. What I want to do now is, rather than myself explain all of the different images of 6, I want you to have the opportunity now just to look at the arrangements that are available in the centre of the table. Again, these could just be any random things that the children have brought over, well, not random things, any specific things the children have brought over the course of the week to represent 6 in many different ways, alongside paintings, alongside any other visual objects and so on. There's a little bit of mathematical apparatus in there. There's tens frame images that you can see, and there's other ways to represent 6 as well. What you're seeing now is kind of an overview of what we've covered mainly in days 1 to 3 this week. Have a little look. What images do you recognise that you've been seeing throughout the week as 6? I think we'll start off in 10 frame land. And what we can see beautifully there, we've seen a couple of these 10 frames before. There's the sheep in the field and there's the school bus. Great images. We talked a lot on the second day about the school bus and how that 6 can be arranged again in many ways, with moving the objects around the top and the bottom and in different areas of the bus, at the front and back of the bus and so on. What you can see there is the kind of standard tens frame image of 5 on the bottom and 1 on the top. Next to it, in the middle, you've got the gems, which again have been arranged in more of the kind of the mastery view of 6, the Singapore style 6, where you've got 5 in a straight line and 1 next to it. Probably, you know, the best conventional image to give that idea of 6 being 5 and 1. The third one, with the sheep in the field, we can see the Numicon image. We can see the 3 in the bottom corner. We can see the 3 in the top corner, but we can also discuss focusing in, you know, different features of those sheep as well. You can look at the ram that's there. You can look at the black sheep. You can look at the sheep with the grey face, and so on. Again, what you're looking at though, quite, you know, in that one is a 3 plus 3. They all show the 4 more that make 10. If I just move slightly over this way, there's also 6 children waiting to get on the bus. But they're either in a line of 4 and a line of 2, or a 4 dice pattern and 2 standing above them. We can also look at the number of boys and girls as well. I'll just move slightly further down just to show you the other images that we're looking at. We've got 6 dice, all showing the number 6, which is again is quite nice in showing 2 different images of 6 there. But actually the 6 dice that are showing the number 6 are set out in a 6 dice pattern as well. The 6 gems in the picture, again, are in that similar 3 by 2 array. Again, will children describe that as 2 plus 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, or just 6? I have, for the first time this week, used a pure plastic resource. You can see there the multi-link, which again is showing 5 plus 1, 4 plus 2, and 3 plus 3. Again, no problem with that whatsoever. If children have got multi-link in class, they can bring it together and show 6, just in different sticks, really. And last but not least, I thought it was quite nice to have an image with the teddies. With that one, we can see the 6 as 1 blue, 2 reds, 1 blue, 2 reds, definitely, especially if I put the final red together with the others, or we can space the final red out. And what we're looking at now is that idea of 5 plus 1. We're looking at 5 style. And again, use that terminology, 5 style, random style, line style, 10 frame style, just as a way of kind of marking out, you know, what we're actually looking at as well. Let's now take a look at the final few images on the Ready-Made Maths number 6 table that we've not had a chance to look at so far. We'll start with the Concrete and Pictorial bar modelling kit that I mentioned earlier in the week that TTS have created. This is a lovely resource. It's designed for early years and Key Stage 1 to give them the experience of seeing kind of what the bar model image looks like with real objects and with pictures. The real objects are designed for early years and the pictures for year 1, but actually they can be used together in conjunction in either of those year groups. You can see here again the 6 dice, all with the number 6 on, but placed on top of the individual cards. The children might just use the cards, they might just use the dice. As we move up, we see again 6 dice, but this time set out in that 3-dimensional 1 + 2 + 3 triangle pattern. Again, a very, very powerful image that we looked at earlier on with the cakes, but this time set out 3-dimensionally. Again, do you see 1 + 2 + 3? Do you see 3 reds and 3 blues? Or do you see 1 on the top, 2 reds underneath, and then a red and 2 blues on the bottom? Moving to more teddies at the back. These again are part of the concrete pictorial pre-bar modelling kit from TTS. Lovely little resource. We've just seen the teddies in a straight line. We're now seeing them in an array, which again could be 2 + 2 + 2, looking at the ribbons they're wearing, or it could be a line of 3 and a line of 3. Finally, we've got some flowers, part of the sweet counter resources that I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks. Again, just a really nice pictorial resource that you can get hold of. And again, what do you see when you see those those flowers that have been put into the jars? Do you see a jar with 3 and another jar with 3? Or do you see one jar that's got 3 purples and another jar that's got 2 pinks and a blue, i.e. 3 + 2 + 1? There's hundreds of ways of creating 6 just using 2 jars or 3 jars, or just using the individual flowers and creating them that way. There's probably a few other images that we've not had a chance to discuss, but I hope what you've seen from the table of different number 6s. In fact, there's one more I just want to focus on over here that I forgot, the hedgehog. Again, this is a sweet counter resource. There's the hedgehog number 6. And when you look inside the hedgehog's tummy, what you see are the worms that have been eaten, and you can see that as a double 3. That's a lovely resource because all of the odd numbers tend to have a worm that's been shared between the 2 halves of the stomach as well. But that just shows 3 on one side and 3 on the other. But basically, you've got the whole 6 table that you can see there that just shows you so many ways of making that number. As I've said, in class, you'd have an area of the classroom, you'd have a book, you'd have a big pad, you'd have a range of, however you decided would be best to explore the particular number that you're working on that week. Create yourself a 6 area of the room where the children bring all those different things that they've found, that they've created, that they've made, and that represent the number 6. Because really that's the crux of what early years is all about, that experiential learning that allows the children to use their own personal experience, how they see 6, what they can tell you about it, and all the different activities they've done over the course of that week or 2 weeks that allow them to represent that. Thanks very much for joining me today for a real exploration of the number 6. In fact, we've had a number 6 party today. Back on the video, you're going to see number party for the number 4 as well. So we've seen a smaller number and how we can represent that. But I hope you've seen a real exploration of a number and how that can be developed with any of the other numbers that are used in early years from 1 all the way up to 10 and then beyond. Thanks for joining me. What I'll be doing later in the day is posting a very small video clip that will just give you an overview of what's coming up next week. I'll also tweet that out so that you can see that on Twitter as well. As I've said many times before, it'd be lovely if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel for next week's training, which is all about mastery in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. We're looking at different areas of mathematical understanding and looking at how they can be mastered in a very specific way. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
And thanks very much for watching part 1 of today's video. This video has predominantly been a classroom-based session where you've seen lots and lots of different images of the number 6. The accompanying video is more of a PowerPoint presentation where I can take you through very simple subitizing and seeing small numbers within larger numbers, again, and then developing that into the number 6 and kind of a reinforcement of what you've seen in the classroom video today. So if we do get a chance to have a look, it'd be lovely to see you watching video 2 as well, which should accompany what you've seen in this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I do look forward to seeing everybody next week, where we're going to be looking at quite a lot of examples of mastery in mathematics across the whole of the primary school. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.